Today we're going to talk about what do you ask first if a prospect says, it's just too expensive, so you know what they actually mean. All right, there's no point in proceeding to help them overcome their objection if you don't completely understand what their objection even means, like what's behind that objection. You see, most salespeople think that because they've heard it's too expensive so many times from so many other prospects that they just assume that they know what that means, and then they deliver a canned rebuttal. But the question has to be asked, do you really know what that specific objection means in that prospect's mind? What does the too expensive objection really mean to them? What's behind it? Does it mean it's too expensive to pay right now and they need a few days to get the funds together? Does it mean it's too expensive compared to a competitor? Does it mean it's too expensive to pay up front and they need a payment plan or help getting the funding? Does it mean they don't have the budget for it all? It's too expensive in relation to what? When you don't know exactly what your prospect's talking about, your assumptions will end up costing you a lot of sales. So always be sure to fully understand what the objection means, what's behind it. We do this by asking what's called NEPQ clarifying questions. Let me give you an example of this. I'll just role play with myself. Prospect says, this is just too expensive for our company. You say, how do you mean by it's too expensive? Prospect says, well, another company I'm looking at is almost 12% cheaper for the same service. Do you see how that works? The salesperson now knows what the prospect means when they say it's too expensive. Now, in other situations, it could mean something completely different. It could mean, we just don't have the budget for this right now, or your quote would be too high for us once we add in repairs and maintenance costs, or we have to hire additional people to implement your software and we don't have the budget for that. See, it could mean different things. Can you see how each of those answers reveal a different reason for the objection of, this is too expensive? Now, you also have to make sure that you uncover the reason that's actually behind that concern, not just the meaning of the concern. You need to find out why they have the concern in the first place. What's caused them to have the concern? If you understand their objections, you are far better prepared to ask the right question to help them overcome their own concern. So let me give you another example. I'll role play with myself again. Prospect says, this proposal is just too expensive for the company. You say, how do you mean exactly? They say, well, the most we could pay for this service is about $8,000 a month, like max, and you're quoting me almost 12. Can I ask you how you arrived at that monthly figure of $8,000 a month? Clarifying question. Prospect says, well, it's what our CEO allocated us to be able to spend on this type of service because we've had a recent merger and we've had a lot of cutbacks. Well, now the salesperson can see the picture a lot more clearly than before. The meaning of it's too expensive is that the CEO only gave them $8,000 a month due to cutbacks because the company had just gone through a merger. This extra knowledge, the salesperson may be able to negotiate a different agreement on the price, perhaps changing the service options from the original offer or giving them a different type of service that matches the lower budget. Now, even better than that, once you learn the right skills, you'll be able to help the prospect see how bad their problems really are, or the consequences of not solving these problems, and help him or her go and find the extra budget or funding from another department to put into your solution to actually solve the problem. So asking skilled questions about their concern helps you get better information that clarifies their concern and aids you in finding a solution. You're also helping the prospect think and overcome their own concerns as well. So I'm going to give you a few clarifying questions you can ask your prospects to better understand exactly what their concerns mean. Write these down. How did you arrive at that? Or, can you tell me more about that? Or, how do you mean by that? Or, what do you mean by that? Or, when you say, can you tell me what that means? Or when you say, repeat whatever they said, what did you mean by that? See how that works? Okay, we just went over what to do if a prospect says it's just too expensive, so you know what they mean. And that is your tip for the day.